Yo, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to Bullony Basketball. And as you can see, I'm joined by a very special guest, my guy, Reliable Rants. How's it going, my man?
Going well. Chilling, chilling. How about you?
Doing pretty good. It's been a while since we collabed. I know I had you on, I believe, a couple tournaments. I had you on last season, and
Yeah.
we're back here. We're back on the groove of things, and we got a lot of good stuff that we're going to be talking about too. The season it's getting closer to the end. We're almost there. We're almost at the playoffs, and I think the first thing we'll talk about is the Philadelphia 76ers, who for the last like kind of 2 months have been without Joel Embiid, and they were up there like around second or third, and then you've seen them slip more and more and more. Right now, they're right there with like Indiana and Miami between six, seven, and
Yeah.
eight. So, kind of in danger of being in that play in. And if they lose that first playing game, then they're kind of in a winner go home scenario with likely either my Bulls or the Hawks. Uh, so I guess like what chance do you really give the Sixers of making the playoffs? Because right now they've kind of been on a downward slide.
So this is every time there's a situation like this where a superstar gets injured and a team drops. Now the problem is, right? They're a lot the team they have now, especially without Maxi right now,
Mm,
they're a lot worse than the other teams in the play-in tournament right now
mm,
because they've dropped so much. So that's why I'm worried that they're most likely gonna be that seven, right?
mm.
Um,
Like six, seven, eight, or somewhere in there.
this roster without Joel Embiid will lose or will is very in jeopardy of losing to, let's see, it would be the Heat, the Bulls, the Hawks. Um it's the roster they have now. They've dropped so many games since being in that 2-3 seed. So it just it goes to show how impactful Joel Embiid is on both sides of the ball. They don't have, unfortunately, they don't have someone that can come in and not replicate what he can do, but at least provide some sort of just fill that hole a little bit. Mo Bamba is not doing what Joel Embiid can do. So I am very worried for them. I think if they were right now at like the 4 or 5 seed, I think they'd be able to sneak into the playoffs without having to go in the play in. But playing in that play-in tournament without Embiid, I mean, it's really bad for them because they don't have a roster right now to compete with the Heat or compete with even the Hawks. I mean, like Buddy Hield has been all right. They're relying on Kyle Lowry to play like 30 minutes a night. I mean, it's just campaign is starting for them. Um, it's not looking good.
Yeah, no, I agree. It's like there's just been, um, like you said, Maxi missing time as well, like in a decent stretch was also what hurt him. I think the last game they played, they were without Tobias Harris as well. So it's like just people have been out, and like you see these other teams, like of course, Miami hasn't been great, especially as of late, and even Jimmy Butler's been out, but like they've at least been playing a little better than the Sixers, and I'm sure they will turn it up near the end.
Yeah,
If Jimmy will
and
probably go ahead.
we know the Heat. They're during the regular season, they're always subpar,
Mm,
and then when it comes down to it, they've made the finals what twice in the last 4 years.
mm.
They turn it up in the playoffs every single time. So the Sixers versus a play-in winner go home Heat is not even going to be a matchup without Joel Embiid, obviously.
Right.
But we know what the Heat do in winner go home high stakes games. So that's not going to be fun for them.
Yeah, and just like, with even the Pacers haven't been great, but like I trust those two teams to kind of go better down the stretch of the season than Philly. Like I feel like Philly is going to end up in the 8th seed, and then they're probably going to play, like you said, they might play a team like Miami because they're not going to care as much, and then they'll probably lose that, and they'll have to play against my Bulls. And honestly, like we haven't even been playing great, but what I will say is that if you took like the pace that these teams have been playing at for the last like 8 or 9 games throughout the rest of the season, like I think the Bulls are on pace to end with the same record as Philly. So it's
Yeah.
like it's not even a guarantee they're gonna be top 8. So
Because
that
yeah,
yeah, go ahead.
you guys, you guys are yeah. You've won your last two.
Mm,
Demar's been playing well. I know Bulls fans always reminisce about that team with Lonzo, how you guys were just so good.
mm.
Um, but look, I mean, when is Levine projected to come back?
I don't think he's coming back this
Not
season.
even for the playoffs. Yeah,
No.
I guess it was like a. But yeah, I mean, I think I would love to see the Bulls in the playoffs. I mean, it's just like I feel for them. I love Kobe White. I love what Kobe White's been doing. I think obviously your team right now would beat that Sixers team, or it has what it takes to beat that Sixers team. You just look at the roster and the talent, especially without Embiid.
Right.
I think you guys have what it takes. So if it comes down to it, I might put my money on the Bulls and just a 1-game winner go home, knowing what you guys have now.
Yeah, I would as well. I wouldn't be surprised though either way. But I feel like in a winner go home, if it's Sixers Bulls for that 8 seed, I'm gonna have to take my Bulls. And if that were to happen, I mean, I might have to talk some trash to our guy Romp 2.0.
I know. As a Bulls fan, it's hard to put your money on the Bulls.
It is hard to put my money on the Bulls.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know if you have any other. Oh no, the only other thing I wanted to say though, and then I'll ask you if you have anything else though. Like, I feel like Nick Nurse needs to let go a little bit. Like, it seems like he's hanging on to Toronto Kyle Lowry and treating him like he's Toronto Kyle Lowry. Like, he's not that anymore. Like,
so, but here's the deal. Like, without Maxey, you're so thin at that guard position. You're relying on Campaign and Lowry. Like, I don't really blame him for playing him 29, 35 minutes a night right now. When you have a veteran player that comes in that's like super reliable and you can trust his basketball IQ, like, especially like I understand why he's getting minutes. Like, in times like this where you're lacking that superstar, that offensive productivity, like, I understand why you want to go to like your comfort blanket in Kyle Lowry. When Maxey comes back, like, there's no way Kyle Lowry should be playing more than like 25, 20, maybe 20 minutes a night.
well, even,
but right now I understand it, honestly. Like,
I mean, even because like Maxey, like, he's been there a few games with him, but he's also missed a few games with him. It's like a little weird, like a in and out type of thing. But like even in the games that he's been there, like he's still playing Kyle Lowry so much, and he actually moved Buddy Hield to the bench. Like, I feel like Buddy Hield was a great acquisition. It's a nice fit, especially alongside like a team like that. Like, especially, would have been even greater if Embiid was still healthy. But like, I feel like you got to play that guy more. Like, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. No, I agree. Yeah, Buddy, I remember when Buddy first came to the Sixers, he was like on a heater, and now like he's calmed down a little bit. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, he did win a championship for Nick Nurse, so like I get why he's probably still holding on a little bit, but
yeah. I just think
he's got to move on.
He's got to move on. Like, he can still play decent minutes, but I feel like maybe he's getting a little too much. But yeah, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add there, or if we move on?
I mean, I just think in conclusion, I'm worried about the Sixers because once they reach the play-in, their roster now is going to be way less prone to wins than, say, either the Bulls, Heat, Pacers, or Hawks.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, if you want, we can progress here, keep pushing, and talk about your Los Angeles Lakers. Obviously, he played in the most recent game, but the game before that, Anthony Davis left early with an eye contusion, and apparently, like, it's hard for him to kind of see. But especially, we're in the last, like, I think we were just talking about it before we start, like 13 games left for the Lakers, like, and obviously we know, like, I guess, like, AD's injury history, and so far this season he's been really healthy. But I think the most recent game he played was the 65th game, meaning he would qualify for end of season awards and stuff like that. So I guess, like, even if he misses like 2 games or 3 games down the stretch of this end of the season, how crucial do you think that is? Because right now they're in a spot where it's like they're 9th and 10th. I'm sure they want to get up at least to 7th or 8th, but they're not even a guarantee they're going to have a home court advantage in that lower playing game. So, like, as a Laker fan, what do you think? So, one, I think it's important to know AD played against the Hawks last night. So that I think we could just move on from it. Like, his eye swelled up. I don't think it's going to play a big impact. Now, I would agree with you on the fact that AD might, we might load manage him for the playoffs. But shocker alert, we're not in a position to do that at all. We see the complete
defensive collapse that, first of all, the Lakers are already 28th in defense since the All-Star break. So we already suck defensively. When AD is not out there, we completely collapse. So load managing, thinking about end of season rewards isn't really a thing that anyone in the Lakers organization is concerned about right now. AD is going to be on that court if he can, and if he can push himself to do that. As much as we would love to rest LeBron or maybe load manage him a little bit, like always, we're just never in a position at this time in the year to do that. I like what we saw. First of all, I mean, like, it's with the Lakers, our kryptonite is defensively. I mean, it's just, I can't say it enough how much I hate Darvin Ham with a passion. There's so many defensive mishaps, so many going under screens when we should be going over screens, not switching, not communicating, not doing all of this. That is just really pissing me off with the Lakers. Offensively, I think we're one of the best teams in the league. We put up 120, 130 every night, but we just can't keep it together defensively. I think that's a symptom of bad coaching. But all that's going to say that we need Anthony Davis on the floor at all times when we can. Lately, he's been playing 40 to like 43 minutes a night. So it's that down to that stretch in the season. We just came off of like the hardest run of our year. We played like the Bucks, Timberwolves, like the Warriors. So it's like we blew some games at home. It's not looking great. But yeah, AD's going to have to play. LeBron's going to have to play. We might cut down the rotation to 8 towards the end of the season. Because right now it's like do or die. That play-in, the Mavericks, Kings, Warriors, I mean, like those are all championship level teams that we're going to have to go through in the play-in tournament. So yeah, I'm a little bit worried as a Lakers fan.
Yeah, and that's an interesting stat you said. I didn't even know that personally, where they're 28th since the All-Star break in defense. Like, that in itself should almost tell you it's like they need Anthony Davis there. Like, and without him, I mean, like, even just this year, like, when the few games he's missed, I mean, they got, I think, blown out by Houston. They got blown out by the Spurs, who had lost like 18 straight games. Atlanta, who they lost to. And even like, again,
Brooklyn.
Brooklyn as well. Like, there's just so many games that like are winnable games that they should have had without him. And I feel like, at least at this point, like, he is their like most important player. Without Anthony Davis, you can't afford, like, it's just not going to work. Like, he plays such a huge part in the defense, and especially like on rebounding, that you need that out there. So what I will say is, obviously he's been pretty healthy this year. I think he's probably going to play through it. Like, especially like, I'm sure the eye thing probably will still bother him a few games, but I don't think it'd be anything to keep him out necessarily, unless someone like re-aggravates it, which could be a concern. But what I will say is, like, I'm pretty sure he probably will have to play every game the rest of the year. Now, if maybe like last game of the year, they're already stuck in like the 9 seed or the 10 seed, maybe he'll sit that game. But other than that, like, I don't think he can afford to sit any other games.
And like, even then, like, I'm going to say something that not like many people like might not agree with, but like AD is lazy defensively a lot. Coming off of screens, there's so many times where there should be a contest or he should have stepped up, especially against the Kings. This is why we suck against the Kings. De'Aaron Fox will come off a screen and AD will just back up to go to Sabonis. That's why De'Aaron drops 40 every time, because AD, like, he's relied upon in the interior so much. But AD, like, he doesn't suck. He just doesn't contest guards coming off of screens, and it really has been pissing me off. I think we've been out Jared Vanderbilt for a long time. Mm-hmm. He's one of the best perimeter defenders on our team. And I just think, like, D'Lo and Austin are both, like, cones. Like, they're both, like, cones. So, like, it's been tough defensively. AD is still, like, he's just gifted and talented in the interior, but like, he's not playing, like, there's just so many times where I'm just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you not stepping up on that guard? Why are you not putting your hands up? And I think it's overall a symptom of bad coaching. Like, you won't talk to a Laker fan that likes Darvin Ham. It's just ridiculous. Fire him, make Phil Handy the head coach, and we'll win.
Yeah,
Sorry, that's my
I
little rant.
it's just no. I mean, and you're good because I think Darvin Ham is just like it. He's not fit to be a head coach. Maybe an assistant coach that's like the one that's maybe comforting the players when it's like the head coach is going like crazy on him or ballistic. That might be his role, but as the head coach, and the players I don't think take him seriously, like a lot of times.
Exactly. The
So
locker room is fun. Did you see that quote that D'Lo said? He said that he had no dialogue with Darvin Ham last year because Darvin Ham was obsessed with Schroeder. So
yeah,
D'Lo, like, they didn't even talk. Like, they didn't even like. So now he was saying like, oh, now I've gotten a chance to actually build a relationship with him now this year.
mm,
And you see, like, Phil Handy. He's that like
yep,
the players love. You'll see at timeouts after the huddle breaks, everybody goes and talks to Hand. Nobody talks to Darvin Ham. Nobody goes to Darvin Ham. People feel like they just don't feel comfortable and personable with Darvin Ham. It's just like it's so obvious, so obvious.
yeah. Well, if I know any like LeBron team that hasn't achieved what they want to achieve, the coaches don't last as long as they should. So maybe that's a good sign for getting rid of Darvin Ham
Yeah.
eventually.
I don't. I think Vogel was. I mean, he was great. I don't know why we really like. At one point, I was like, yeah, f Frank Vogel, but then like we should have kept him. It was so clear how much more control of this team he had, how much more experience. Like the fact, like I get Rob Pelinka wants to be like, oh, this guy has talent, but at the end of the day, going for a rookie head coach to coach a team with our personnel, it's just not a good idea. I really don't believe it's a good idea.
And now I feel like, at least for me, I feel like Vogel isn't maybe a great fit in Phoenix. Like I feel like he should have he would have been better off if he was still with the Lakers than if he where he is now. So
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, but if you want, obviously we're talking about AD a lot there. We could talk about the team that he started his career with, which has been playing really well as of late, and that is the New Orleans Pelicans. I think they were the best record in the league to not get an All-Star this year, and that includes Zion Williamson and Brandon Ingram and CJ McCollum. It's not like they have bad players. Like those are all great players, but it's like you would think maybe one of those guys would get that acknowledgement, and it seemed like they were all kind of playing like just okay by their standards, but they could have done more. And especially with Zion Williamson, in-season tournament happened. A lot of people were kind of bashing him at that point. Ever since then, he's lost 25 pounds, he said, and he's been playing better. So just with this Pelicans team, getting ready for the playoffs, I know we kind of saw a few of them in 2022, but like, with Zion now and the other pieces that they have around them, like, what do you, I guess, anticipate from this Pelicans team in a playoff atmosphere?
So far in a playoff atmosphere, we've seen this team go. They played Golden State. No, it was Phoenix. They played Phoenix 2 years ago, and they brought them to 6. They have shown that when this team is fully healthy and in rhythm, this team can compete with any team in the West. I'm not saying they're going to win a championship, but it's been a long time coming from this team. I know it's 2 years they've had CJ McCollum, but we've seen spurts of this team when healthy and playing at their highest capabilities go on runs like this. And now it's the only thing is it's sustainable. Everyone's healthy. And I think this team is built so well. I mean, you have defensively Herb Jones on the perimeter is a perfect fit there. I just think the team works perfectly. Valanciunas is a perfect fit next to Zion. Brandon Ingram, wow. Brandon Ingram fits perfectly in that system now because I think he's had to defer more shots this year. That's why his points per game are down, but it's worked. I mean, Zion is now taking that leap. Everybody knows their role. Everybody's comfortable in their role. And you have 3 borderline all-stars working really well together. I think this is different than some sort of super team because you don't have 3 superstars having to share the ball. It's just 3 really good players who work really well together and understand how each other work. Also, it's a very well-coached team. Willie Green, I know there were some doubts last year. They started like super bad, but Willie Green has always had that team under control. Players love Willie Green. I just think this is a team that's consistently healthy, has great personnel, have great like hustle players like Alvarado and Herb Jones, and are just built really well offensively and defensively. It's a complete team, and as long as they stay healthy, they're going to make some noise in the West.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I agree with that because I think a lot of people forget, like at this point, I know it's talked about a lot, but like I think the last few months, like it hasn't been brought up again as much, but like this is a team that like 30 games into the season last year, like they were the 1 seed,
Yeah,
like so like they definitely could do that. And then of course that's when Zion went down and things just took a turn for the worse. But obviously Zion's here, he's playing right now, and they've just been playing a lot better. So my one criticism of them, especially earlier in the year, and they still do it. I mean, lately they haven't done it as much, but like they're just a team that's hard to take serious because they would beat maybe one of the best teams in the league and then turn around and lose to one of the worst teams in the league. And
yeah,
that's kind of just like been their thing. So it's like, and yeah, granted, everyone has bad games. Maybe that happens eventually, but like it just happens too much for a team like that to, I guess, like put all your eggs in their basket. And that's maybe the one concern I would have. Like, honestly, I wouldn't be surprised even if they were in a playoff series against Denver and they were up 2-0. I also wouldn't be surprised if they played a team like Sacramento and got swept. You know what I mean? Like it's just like that. It just doesn't make sense. So in a playoff scenario, now I will say, like you said, the last time we saw them in the playoffs, they did play really well without Zion. Almost took down the 1 seed Phoenix without any real playoff experience in that team outside of maybe like CJ and Valanciunas were probably the only two. So I give them a ton of credit there. But it's just going to be interesting to see with Zion and stuff like that as well. Now, I think if the playoffs started today, they would play the Clippers, which has actually been pretty good for them recently. I think ever since they beat them in the play-in that year that they got to the playoffs, I think they've only lost to the Clippers
I
like
think they
once.
can beat the Clippers absolutely in a playoff series. And I
So,
think like
yeah.
one thing that's in, or sorry,
Oh, no,
finish.
go ahead.
I think one thing that's like the Lakers do that all the time. We'll come out and we'll beat the Thunder, the Warriors, and then we'll lose to the Wizards the next night. I think I mean I think it's something to worry about, but with how volatile and how talented this league is, like that stuff like that's gonna happen. I don't know. I just think this team is so well built, especially like off the bench, like having someone like Trey Murphy like come in and just hit like shoot 45% from three. They have snipers on this team mixed with like great interior play, both offensively and defensively. I just think they're hitting their stride. So yeah, I mean,
Yeah, I mean, we'll have to see. Obviously you've seen CJ turn up in the playoffs before, and I mean, he had a few games where he was really well against Phoenix a few years back. But I feel like Brandon Ingram would be an interesting wild card as well because I thought he played pretty decent last time in the playoffs. And so, is it something that like he only had that opportunity because of maybe Zion was out, or we'll just have to see, like, I guess, how that goes.
yeah. I don't know if you know, like Bi's been like my favorite player. Like ever since he came to the Lakers, like he's like been my guy. And I think one thing we're seeing with the Pelicans is like CJ's points per game have gone down, Bi's points per game have gone down, Zion's points per game have gone down, but it's all been good because players are playing team basketball and they're playing consistently and they're getting each other shots. So it's really not a bad thing that all of their points per game have gone down. It's just and it's resulted in wins. So I think when playoffs come, like Bi is ready to go. Like he can kill. He showed that he can kill in the playoffs. CJ has shown it. They have killers. I think the wild card will be Zion. Zion's never played a playoff game, has he?
Nope, he hasn't.
So that's going to be the X factor. Can Zion show up in the final in the playoffs?
Yeah,
We'll see.
I think at their best too, like you said, maybe that could be their advantage is that they could play a little bit of a style like a 2004 Pistons or like a 2014 Spurs, where it's like there's not one guy, there's 3 guys or 4 guys or 5 guys. And so one night Trey Murphy might be the leading scorer. The next night he might be the 7th leading scorer or something. You know what I mean? So we'll just have to see. But if you want, we can move on to, like I said, the team that they would be playing if the playoffs started today, and that is the Clippers. And they have not been looking all too good lately. there was real talk where it's like the top four teams in the West, who's going to get that one seed? Is it going to be the Clippers, the Timberwolves, the Nuggets, or the Thunder? And right now, the Thunder have it. The Timberwolves are half a game back. The Nuggets are half a game back as well. And the Clippers are 5 games back. And they're 4.5 games behind third. And if you go 4.5 games below them, they would be a game in the 8 seed. So that's just how far, I guess, like they've fallen over the last week or so. And just tell me, like, what do you think's been going on with the Clippers, and is it something to worry about?
I just think it's as simple as like when you have a team built like how they're built, like it's impossible to stay consistent throughout a full season. You have five you have 5 stars who are all above 30 years old going against teams like OKC and Denver, who are young and built around 1, 2 young superstars. They're the Clippers are just built in a way that's not prone to consistency, I think. And that's why I don't think they can win a championship. I think we've seen earlier in the year that, PG and Kawhi and Harden like can mesh well. And like they impressed me. They went on like a long winning streak. They were running through the league for a while, but people who thought that was just going to continue. I mean, yes, they lost Westbrook, but like this was going to happen, right? I think it's only Westbrook who's injured right now.
Pretty
And
much.
yeah, like I think it's the same problem that arose maybe with Brooklyn with Kyrie, Harden, and KD is who's going to take that last shot is still a thing. Lately, we've been seeing like PG have the ball in his hands. Kawhi gets the ball in his hands. Harden gets the ball in his hands. I don't think this team is going to win a championship. Maybe I'm biased because I'm a Lakers fan, but I think it's just the team is prone to inconsistency due to how they're built. The younger teams in the league, like the Celtics and the Thunder, are winning more games because of how their system is. The Clippers just don't have a system that is going to get you consistent wins through a consistent, like, long period of time, especially knowing their age. So, yeah, that's my take on it.
Yeah, no, I feel that. And honestly, like, this might be, I guess, a hot take, or people might not agree with it, but, like, in a way, I feel like that falls a little bit, too, on Tyronn Lue. Like, I feel like Ty Lue is a little, he gets a lot of praise, obviously, for coming back down 3-1 with the Cavs and the 0-2 comebacks twice in the same playoff run. But, like really, like, he's made confusing decisions, like, late in games. Like, the other day, I was watching them play the Hawks, and he had a lineup out there with no Kawhi, no Paul George, especially when you're already out Norman Powell, and James Harden wasn't even looking to score that day. So you basically had no offense on the floor. I feel like at all points you should at least have Kawhi and Paul George on the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that just seems like a simple decision. And then, like, even sometimes in games, like, I don't know if you remember the one game against your Lakers. It was, I think, the second game they played this year. The game was going fine, and then you guys were up big. The Clippers were making kind of a run late. I think they were down 1.
They
And
took out Kawhi.
all of a sudden, Kawhi's on a minutes restriction. Like,
So stupid.
news to everybody in the world because no one even knew that was a thing. Like,
It's ridiculous. I was going crazy when that happened.
like, there's 3 minutes left in the game. Like, at that point, you play him. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
so, like, and even then, it's like Kawhi's missed maybe, like, what, 4 or 5 games this year. Like, he's been relatively healthy, but then just sit him the next game if that's, like, the big thing. Play 3 more minutes this game. You already have committed to this game. You know what I mean? Like, so but that falls on Tyronn Lue. And I think just overall, like you said, there's just so many inconsistencies with whether it's Paul George, like, late in games, like taking the initiative and taking the ball in his hands, or, like, maybe it's James Harden trying to, like, work his old ways that maybe he can't do it anymore because he doesn't have that quick of a first step. Or, I mean, you even have seen firsthand, like, the bad decision making sometimes that Westbrook makes. So, like, there's so many things that, like, pile into it. I also am not super high on their bigs, like their centers. They're not bad, but, like, I just feel like it's not hard for guards on the other team to expose them. And so, like, that's why, like, honestly, like, I don't completely count them out because I trust Kawhi, and I know if there's anyone who could probably make it work, it's Kawhi. But at the end of the day, it's like just hard when it's like you have a coach that maybe doesn't have a consistent system, and you got players that are making bad decisions late in games. Like, I feel like he needs the ball in his hands late in games. Like, why not trust the guy who's been there, done that, not once but
Mhm.
twice? You know what I mean? So,
Yeah. It's yeah. I agree with you. I think one that was just ridiculous. I don't think like the fact that Kawhi got taken out in that play was just ridiculous, and the fact that Kawhi was okay with it after he was like, "Man, it's just like how it goes." Like I've always wondered about Kawhi. Like Kawhi has that killer instinct in him, but there's something weird about him in that sense where we're so worried about minutes. We're so worried about why is he on like it's just like it's ridiculous.
at the end of the game.
There's a lot of weird things about this Clippers team. And I think how you were describing all these flaws, you really expect a team like that to come in and be able to beat the Nuggets to win a championship, to be able to go up against a team that is so consistent, has a system that is unbeatable, that has worked for a while. While we look at this Clippers team, they don't know who's taking the last shot. They don't know. They don't have health. They don't have consistency. It's like this team is outmatched against a team like that. And now you look at a name basis, but what's gonna prevail against names is a system.
Mm-hmm.
And right now the Nuggets have that system. And the Clippers are not going to be able to beat it just with their star power that they have on a name value basis.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, at least as of right now, like they still probably have one of the better chances in the West, mostly because, like, granted, we know Harden and Paul George and Westbrook have gotten their criticism in the playoffs, but at the end of the day, like, they do have more playoff experience at playoff highs than guys
Yeah.
like OKC, who's never been there, or the Pelicans, who have been there like once, but minus Zion, or the Timberwolves, who really have never got past the first round. So, like, compared to those teams, I think that they still definitely have a good chance to turn it up when they want. But against a team like you said, the Nuggets, like, I mean, this is a team that just won the championship, and they've made several playoff runs that have been past the first round, conference finals they got to. So, like, against them, like, that's really who every team in the West needs
Yeah.
to compare themselves to. And I think when you compare the Clippers to them, like, they're just not on their level. Like, they
But
could
also
win,
I would
but
argue that like having a younger, more having a younger team provides its own set of benefits, I think.
mm,
I think the Clippers would struggle against a team like the Kings.
mm,
I don't know if they would struggle against the Thunder, but the Thunder's the Clippers, I don't know what their record is against Thunder, but I think having a young team provides its own set of benefits. Um, the Clippers are insanely old. It's actually ridiculous. And I think yes, their experience will play one part, but like we saw that Thunder team with a 23-year-old KD and Russ make the finals. At the end of the day, young talent, which is at an all-time high level, has a chance to prevail and also provides it has its own set of benefits that we've seen. The Kings absolutely kill the Lakers every single year.
mm.
Um, the Thunder are the number one seed in the West. There's a lot of young teams that are going crazy. The Cavs are the number 3 seed in the East.
The Pacers, the
The
Magic.
Pacers, yeah. I mean, well, we'll see how it plans out. But I'm actually really curious to see how old talent and experience goes against young talent and fresh legs.
Yeah, they're definitely unique when you look at these top, like, probably the top 6 teams in the West. Once you get to like Dallas, Phoenix, Lakers, Warriors, and maybe you get a little bit more of the older teams, but everyone in the top 6 is more so like young teams that
Yeah.
they'll more than likely have to play one of them. Um,
Mhm.
but yeah, if you want, we can move on here. Talk about something that actually Wemby said, and I know he kind of said it like, I guess, a little bit in a joking manner. But he was like, you know what, let Rudy Gobert have this year to be Defensive Player of the Year, because after this year, it's no longer his turn. And so, just to kind of ask you, obviously the Timberwolves have been playing really good this year, kind of think catching people a little bit by surprise because they were 8th last year. I think a lot of people thought maybe they'd be a play-in team or maybe just above this season. And so, do you think maybe this could be like the last season that Rudy Gobert is a defensive level player at that caliber? And if it is, do you think you could see the Timberwolves start to slide? And like, what should they do about that if so?
No, I don't. I think Rudy Gobert, the way, like, there's no signs that he's going to really slow down in a big way, especially on the defensive level. Ever since 2015-16, he's been a consistent 12 and 12 with 3 blocks, 13, 12, 10, 15. Like there's no sign that he's going to slow down on that level. I think him and Cat are playing in a system now that's really established him as that interior defender. I don't see his shot blocking ability and his defensive prowess really decreasing in the couple years in the future. But what I do respect is that how Cat and Gobert have found their groove together. And I think obviously the X factor is Ant. What didn't work with the Pistons when they had Blake Griffin and Drummond, which was obviously similar to this, is they didn't have a perimeter scorer, or they didn't have a superstar on the wing or the perimeter that they could rely on that can take pressure off of them. You can't have a 2 front court superstar team that just is ran through both of them. The fact that the Timberwolves have Ant is taking so much pressure off of Cat and Gobert and allowing them to dominate in the paint because Ant provides so much pressure. So that's what's really leading to their success. It's the mix of having that perimeter scorer and that perimeter threat, who's one of the best players in the league now, taking pressure off of Cat and Gobert and allowing them to work together. Now, speaking on the Wemby point, I love it. I think that Wemby is fine. Like he's realizing that he's about to start dominating the league, and he's letting a little bit of that. He's one of the, obviously super humble, but he's letting a little bit of that, like, I'm the shit talk, like, slip out a little bit. And I love it. Yeah, I think he might have said it in a joking manner, but I think once the Spurs get better, like, it's inevitable that Wemby is going to win a Defensive Player of the Year in his career. It's like, it's going to happen. Wemby is averaging, like, 4 blocks? He had a 10-block game.
He's leading the league as a rookie.
He's leading the league in blocks. I like it. I like it. And I think it all comes out of respect, right, for Gobert. But yeah, I don't really think Gobert is going to really regress too much defensively in the next coming years. But I do think that Wemby is going to start winning Defensive Players of the Year pretty soon.
Yeah, I think. I mean, it's definitely a respect thing, and you could tell he was kind of joking a little bit. I mean, they're both from France, so
Yeah.
like they've known each other for years. But what I would say though is that on the Gobert point, now I do agree with Wemby. I will say I think, assuming Gobert wins Defensive Player of the Year this year, that it'll probably be his last Defensive Player of the Year. However, I don't think it'll be his last year being like an effective defensive player. Like he could be all defensive once again next season. Like maybe all defensive second team if he's competing with Wemby, and if Wemby's already asserting himself into that talk. But what I will say though is that, you know, the one thing with Gobert is, you know, a lot of these players that I guess are kind of like maybe a similar mold to him that have to, I guess, play a similar role within the team. I mean, for a minute, like you would see Roy Hibbert do that with the Pacers, or like Ben Wallace, or you know, DeAndre Jordan and stuff like that. And usually a lot of them, I guess, start to fizzle out on that side of the floor when they turn like 32, 33. And Gobert is, right now he's 31. I think he'll be 32 in a few months. So it's getting close to that age. But what I will say is I don't think this is the last year, especially because they're playing so well. I would say next year maybe it's not as spectacular as this year, I would say, but it's still like an elite defensive season. And then I think after that, you'll probably start to see a little decline. I think there's still like 2 more years before that.
But I think here's the thing, right? The reason we see these players fizzle out, who are like, you know, the Andre Drummond, Clint Capella, Rudy Gobert, like Steven Adams, like those players, is because, one, they're playing as the primary center interior defender for their team. And at the way the game's evolving, having someone like Andre Drummond, who is just a interior rebounder and putback guy, there's no room for those guys in the NBA anymore. They're fizzling out more than we've ever seen. The best centers in the league are all 3-point shooters. The best centers in the league can all stretch the floor. So that's why we see players fizzling out. I mean, we've seen Andre Drummond come in for Vucevic and put up 22 and 22.
Mm-hmm.
So he can still do the same thing. It's just these archetypes of players are fizzling out due to the evolution of the game. Now, the thing with Rudy Gobert is he's playing next to another center who can stretch the floor. So his liabilities offensively, his inability to guard 1 through 5, his inability to stretch the floor is masked by Cat. So with that said, I think that Gobert might have a couple more years than the typical interior defender guy because he's playing in that system and because his flaws are being masked by Cat. I really don't think it's about regressing. I think it's just about these players are being eliminated from the game. These 13 and 13 can't shoot guys. And I think that's what's happening. Like, yeah, we've seen Andre Drummond. He could still do. You could argue he could still do what he did in Detroit, right? You've seen him come in and do exactly that when he's given the minutes. It's just there's no room for those guys in the league anymore. That's what I think.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I could agree with that. I just think it's maybe more likely that in like 2 or 3 years you start to see that role diminish. I mean, like, what I will say is, like, take someone like LaMarcus Aldridge or like a Paul Millsap. Like, these are kind of guys that were seen as like all-stars for multiple years in a stretch, and then maybe in like the snap of a finger within like 2 years they became bench players that were kind of just an afterthought. And I'm not saying he'll become that, but I think like 3 years from now when we think about Rudy Gobert, like, he probably, you could argue he's the second most important player on their team right now. Like, I would say he's probably the third best player because obviously of Ant and Cat, but you could argue that he's maybe the second most important player. And I think maybe in like 3 years from now, it'll be more so like the fifth best player or something like that, or the sixth, like somewhere in that role. And it's like maybe he could still be in all defensive talks, but probably would be done being all defensive. Like, after this year, probably done with defensive player of the year, and then like 2 more years after that, like, I mean, he'd be like, what, 38 years old? I mean, if he's still in defensive player of the year talks or all defensive talks by then 1, that's impressive, and 2, the rest of the league needs to do some work because they're letting an old man beat him every year.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen like Draymond. He won it 2 or 3 years ago. He's been the same player for the last, like, I'd say, like, I mean, he's regressed a little bit, but defensively, he's been the same player since 2015, in my opinion. So, like, I guess we've seen players that's a unique situation, but yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think when Rudy Gobert is 38, just like anybody else, like, he's not going to be the same player. And I think give it a couple years, like, yeah, he's going to regress just like anybody else. But I think his flaws on the court are masked by Cat. Like, I think the other archetypes of Rudy Gobert are, like, can we name them? Like, Clint Capella, I guess. Like, how many of them are still left in the league? Like, just the rebound defensive interior guys. Like, I guess Valanciunas, but Valanciunas shoots threes.
Maybe like recent. Well, he shoots threes as well, but I was gonna say recently, like Al Horford, last couple of years.
I guess.
I mean,
see, like, they're just fizzling out. They're just leaving the game. You know, no more Ben Wallace's, no more.
But I think too, like, a lot of the ones that maybe have extended like their shelf life can shoot the three. Like, if it's Horford, or if it's Brook Lopez or something, you know what I mean? Like, so maybe that's just something like that. There needs to be like a little bit of an addition, like
Miles Turner.
Yeah, Miles Turner is another one. So I don't know. I mean, we'll have to see. I think, this year though, he's probably going to be the defensive player of the year. Next year, he'll probably be all defensive. The year after that, like, maybe you start to see a little bit of a drop, and then I feel like after that, like, not necessarily he'll be bad defensively, but he definitely won't be like in defensive player of the year talks in 3 years.
Yeah.
So
I could agree with that.
But if you want, we can talk about someone who, has always been criticized for his defense, and maybe not necessarily, well, maybe partially because of just how he is on the defensive end, but also because of his size. 5'9", Isaiah Thomas, who, he's getting a second chance, a 10-day contract with the Phoenix Suns. Maybe I shouldn't call it a second chance because last couple of years he's gotten a lot of 10 days and stuff.
His 17th chance.
His 17th chance. Isaiah Thomas, going back to the Suns too, because he used to play there in like 2014-15. So just, I think they said that he's expected to make his debut on Wednesday, and we're recording this, by the way, on Tuesday, so this would be like tomorrow. He's expected to make his debut on Wednesday of this week, and I guess, do you think like he's going to get like a realistic chance to come back in the league here?
I really like. I don't see it being much different than his opportunities in Denver, New Orleans, wherever else. Like, I guess the only thing would be like the Suns don't have a consistent one, right? They've been criticized for running D-Book at the one, for not having a true point guard. But let's just face it, Isaiah Thomas, we would know if he can still play at a high level in this league. He wouldn't be getting cut so many times if he could prove that he could play at a high level in this league. Now, does Isaiah Thomas still have talent? Sure. But like, there's no way that Isaiah Thomas ends up playing like real minutes in a rotation. I just think at this point, the Suns are already not the best defensive team. Looking at D-Book and Beal and KD, players that need to use all their energy offensively and have never been defensive players, adding someone like Isaiah Thomas to take minutes over like a Royce O'Neal or Grayson Allen, it's not going to happen. All right. I just think on a personnel standpoint, they can't afford to play someone like Isaiah Thomas. And I think his flaws, unfortunately, I love Isaiah Thomas, but his flaws on the court at this point will outweigh like what he can actually provide offensively in a situation like this in Phoenix. So I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I really don't believe he's going to get a big chance. I think he's just like his veteran presence and maybe his veteran presence and his experience with winning is maybe why they signed him.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he really doesn't get much of a chance either, which kind of stinks because obviously, like, I think most of us like Isaiah Thomas, or at least rooted for him when he was with Boston and stuff like that. So it's just kind of unfortunate. But the thing I will say, and I think someone even pointed this out, is that like in the last like 4 years, like every team that he was on, at the time he was on their team, was like a bottom 10 defense because he was with the Wizards. I think then he was with the Pelicans, who they were bad that year. It was the year when he came back to the Lakers that you guys were really bad defensively at that point, and then the Hornets, and then the Mavericks and stuff like that. So like he really hasn't been on a great defensive team, and obviously we know this is a guy who's undersized already and is going to have those problems. So if it would be interesting to see if he were to sign with a team that had that defensive backbone, like if he were
Boston,
yeah, or even like, I mean, we were just talking about Minnesota, but like if he were asked to do maybe like what Monte Morris is doing for them, I feel like it wouldn't look as bad because they have the defensive support around him. But now you're going to a team like Phoenix, who maybe they're not a bottom 10 defense this year, but man, they're not a good defensive team. Like, yeah. I mean, just straight up, like any team that is asking Yusuf Nurkic to be their rim protector, they're in trouble. Like, so, like, and like honestly, who even is, especially lately, because I know they've had some injuries, but like, who even would be like their top 3 defenders? You know,
I think you'd have to go look at the guys they've just picked up, like literally, like Grayson Allen, Royce O'Neal.
And I mean, I don't even know. Like Royce O'Neal defensively doesn't move me as much anymore. You know what I mean?
I mean, I guess, but that's his like, yeah, I guess that's his like role in the league now. He's just a defensive player who plays on winning teams.
And he could be a defender, but I feel like he shouldn't be in the conversation for the best defender. Like, well, honestly,
we can't look to Booker, Beal, or Durant, really. I mean,
honestly, I would probably say Durant's a top 3 defender on that team, and that's hard. Like that should already tell you don't have the defensive backbone. Like, nothing against Durant, but like Durant should be the one contributing the most on the offensive end. You're asking him to be one of the best defenders as well. So I don't know. It's just they don't really have the right pieces around them. And I mean,
anybody with that length is going to be a capable defender for sure. But yeah, I agree with you.
It's just not a great fit for Isaiah Thomas. Like, I feel like he's going to play a few games. They're probably going to get beat really bad in these games, whatever games he plays, if he plays big minutes. And then they're going to be like, well, see, he was the problem. No, the problem is you guys are bad defensively, and you signed another guy who's going to be a liability on the defensive end. You know, like if it were maybe you could use his strengths, of course, like as a point guard, because like you said, They don't really have a true point guard. They've been running Booker there a lot of the year. So you'll have that. Like maybe you'll get like 10, 15 more points in a game, like whether you're scoring it or creating it, but you're also probably going to give up like 25 or 30 more a game.
I don't really see him playing. I'm going to be honest. With the Mavericks in 2021, he played one game.
Mm-hmm.
That was besides that, like that was the competitive team he went to, right? And he only ended up playing one game. So it's like I just don't see him. Maybe towards the end of the regular season, but there's no way like you can convince me that Isaiah Thomas is going to be like in the rotation during the playoffs. That's just it doesn't make sense to me.
If I was giving my, I guess, a realistic prediction, I would say he just gets this 10-day contract. Like in 10 days, he won't even be on the team.
I don't think I've ever seen anybody get as many 10 days as he's gone.
Honestly, like someone needs to research that and see, because he might be the all-time leader for 10-day contract.
I feel like every month I see a new report that Isaiah Thomas has gone a new 10-day.
And not even just in the NBA. I think even in other leagues.
Yeah,
and stuff.
I respect it though. You got to respect it.
He just wants to hoop, which I mean, good for him though.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I don't know. If you want, we can move on here to the final segment, which is the mini game.
Let's do it.
All right. So how this is going to work, it's called the NBA Name Link Game. So with my guy Reliable Rants here, I'm going to give him 2 NBA players. Now it could be current players, former players, whatever. And he has to link player A to player B using the first letter of their last name to start the first letter of the next player's first name. So for example, if the first name I say is Michael Jordan, and then he would have to start the next word or next name with someone whose first name starts with a J, because J for Jordan. And let's say I have him link Michael Jordan to LeBron James. So by the end of it, he needs to try and get a player whose last name starts with an L, and then so he can link it to LeBron James. If he completes a connection from player A to player B, he'll get 100 points added to his score. But if you just kept like linking players like Michael Jordan, James Harden, Horace Grant, like whatever it might be, like then every name that you connect will be an additional 2 points that's guaranteed to your score.
Okay, so if you give me Michael Jordan and LeBron James, my goal is to get a player whose last name starts with an L.
Yeah, like you're trying to like link it there. Like you'll have to use a player whose first name starts with a J to get there.
Yeah.
And then you can keep going as many times as you want.
Okay, so if you said Michael Jordan, try to connect LeBron James, I say Jeremy Lamb. That's
that would be a perfect one, because then you would automatically link it. So you get 2 points right there, and then you'd get the 100 points for the connection minus however much time you used.
Perfect. Got you.
Now, the one caveat to this is if I give you 2 current players, you're only going to be allowed to use current players. If I give you 2 former players, you're only allowed to use former players. And if I give you one of each, then you could use any player that's ever played.
Okay, cool.
So the first one, I'll get the timer ready. Again, you'll have 100 seconds. That's 1 minute and 40 seconds. And I'll start the timer. As soon as I read off the second name, you can just start guessing away. So the first player, or the first one, you're trying to link and you have to use current players as well.
Okay.
Jason Tatum to Anthony Edwards. You can go.
Okay. Trace Jackson Davis. Would I use a D now?
You got to use a J because Jackson Davis.
Jonah Bolden.
Okay.
Brandon Gent. No, he's not current.
So you need a B.
Damn, who starts with a... Baron Davis is not current. Bro, who starts with a B? Bojan Bogdanovic.
That didn't really help you, but
I know. It was like I'm who else has a B?
45 seconds.
Dude, who starts with a B?
You're You're trying to get Anthony Edwards.
I know. I can't think of anyone with a B right now.
30 seconds.
Can you think of someone with a B? Who starts with a B?
I mean, I know a few, but I don't know if it's
Really?
directly
Oh
with
my
A.
God. Why am I choking right now?
You got 15 seconds.
Is Blake Wesley? That's someone?
Yeah.
Um,
Now you have a W. You got 10
Wes
seconds.
Matthews is not current.
5 seconds.
Wes Anderson is a movie director.
1, 0.
Dude, that was so bad. Oh my God.
Did you say Wesley Matthews?
Yeah.
I'll give you that because he actually has been playing for the Hawks. So I'm gonna give you that one. You actually could have got him when you had the B if you'd have said Bam Adebayo.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Dude, I always suck at these.
But you still did get 5 links. Getting Jonah Bolden is kind of crazy. That was not on my radar of
That's
players.
just what my brain does, dude. It's so stupid. Like, I can't name the common guys, but I'll just go to like wild. What'd I say? Blake Wesley? Who the like?
Yeah. Or wait, hold on a second. Yeah, you said Bojan Bogdanovic. Then you said Blake Wesley after that. That's a crazy pull. No, Notre Dame legend. But you still got 5 of the links, so you still got 10 points on that one.
Yeah, Bam Adebayo. That's it right there. Damn.
Yeah, it's kind of hard. I feel like when you have to only do like current players or only 4.
Is that the only one?
No. There's still 4 more. I got.
Okay, good.
So that one you did get 10 points for. But we're gonna do the second one again. Now this one is 2 current players once again. So we're gonna see how you do. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right. So you're trying to link Terry Rozier to Keldon Johnson. You can go.
Ryan Arcidiacono.
Okay.
I want to say Anderson Varejao. Aaron Holiday. Wait, what was the other one that I'm trying to get?
Keldon Johnson.
Okay.
A minute 15 left.
I don't want to go for a B again. Okay, Harrison Barnes. Bam Adebayo.
Now I used him.
Who starts with a... Whose last name starts with a J? Or no, whose first name starts with a J?
The last name starts with a K.
Oh, yeah, last name starts... I'm tripping.
You got 40 seconds.
And right now I'm on Bam Adebayo.
Yeah.
Dude, what?
This one's kind of hard.
I want to say Archie Goodwin. That's not current though.
No.
Alex or
15 seconds. Okay, I know one more.
Dude,
10 seconds.
Really?
Yeah.
Who starts with a K?
Yeah. 5 seconds. 3.
Whose last name starts with a K?
Okay.
Dude, I don't know, bro.
So honestly, this one was I feel like a little bit harder, because there was only like 1 K that I could see at that point. But
I'm so bad at this.
I mean, you still did get 8 points. So you could have said after Bam Adebayo, you could have said Alex Caruso.
Oh my God, how did I forget about Caruso?
And then after Alex Caruso, you could have said Corey Kispert. And then that would
have
have
got
Keldon
think of
Johnson.
anybody who started with a K. That's crazy.
Yeah, that one was kind of hard because the Ks there's not a whole lot of them. But
no, I'm just bad at this, bro. These mind games, like I've never been good at. Like I need to lock in.
Well, you still got 18 points. We'll see how you do. Now these next 2, you can use any player. Like it's one current one.
So now I'm gonna go crazy here.
Yeah, I think you'll go a little bit more crazy. So are you ready for the third one?
Yes.
All right. So the third one, you're trying to link Keegan Murray to Rick Barry. Go.
To Rick Barry. Okay. Okay. Wow. Let's start with Monte Morris.
And you can use former players too.
Mookie Blaylock.
Okay. Mookie Blaylock.
Wait, that's it, right? Rick Barry.
No, it's a Rick. You got to get an R.
Oh shoot. Okay, wait. Wow. Baron Davis, David West, Wesley Matthews. I'm just like trying to get a bunch of points here. Um, uh, okay, wait. Rick Fox is there. Michael Jordan. Um, how do I get an R? Uh, Jordan Farmar. Who starts with an I need to get like Rajon. I need to get a Rajon Rondo. Like
That wouldn't help you because they're both R's. 30 seconds.
Oh my god. Who starts with an F? Frank Kaminsky, Kevin Durant, DeMar DeRozan.
You got 12 seconds.
Derek Favors.
5 seconds.
Bro, I can't get to the R, bro.
Oh my gosh. I thought you were going to get it on the last name. The last one you said Derek Favors. If you said Derek Rose, my guy.
Oh my god.
I was like, he's going to get it. And then,
Dude, I feel like my brain's like against me. Like it like doesn't want me to get to the. It's just so tempting to just name a shit ton of players.
I mean, well, that does help though because it gets you a lot of points. So that got you 22 points in total because you got 11 names. Of course, though, if you would have got the link, that would have got you at the
Dude, this
end.
game's hard because like you want to think of how to get to the R, but then you're just like, all right, I just need to get points. I need to get points. I need to get points, and then that takes you off your goal, and then you're like, oh my god.
So, but yeah, I was like, dang, he's gonna get it, and then he said Derek Favors.
Can't believe I said that.
But well, you still have 2 more left. This next one is again a current and a former player. So you have a good chance here. So are you ready?
Yes.
Okay. These guys were actually teammates at one point. Monte Ellis to Stephen Curry. Go.
Wait. Okay, so sorry. I get confused. Wait, the first name needs to start with the. Wait, can you just say it one more time?
So Monte Ellis to Stephen Curry. So the first guy's first name will have to start with an E, and then the last guy's last name will have to start with an S. So I'll start the timer right now.
Okay, I got it. Okay,
I'll start the timer right now. So there you go. Ahead.
Okay. Who starts with an E? Ersan Ilyasova. Ish Smith.
Wow, you got that one fast.
Finally.
And so you only used 17 seconds on that. So you got 100 points plus the 2 links. So that's 104 minus 17 seconds. So overall, you got 87 points on that one.
Okay. See, if I just use that strategy, like, yeah, I would have.
You also named 2 of Monte Ellis' teammates in Milwaukee, or Ersan Ilyasova and Ish Smith. So that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, there you go.
I don't know.
I mean, I feel like Ish Smith was teammates with everybody, but
he was, but at least during that time too. So that was a huge one though. So you got it in literally 2 links. So 87 points there. And last one. Now this is 2 former players. So you can't use any current players now.
Okay. I don't know why this game confuses me.
Like it is a little confusing because I feel like the last name part, like moving to the next first name, isn't confusing, but it's confusing when you're linking it to the last person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So,
yeah, that's exactly what it is.
So, but we'll see. So this is the last one. You can only use former players. Are you ready?
Yes. Okay.
Okay. So you're trying to link Ron Harper to Jamal Crawford. Go.
Okay. Horace Grant. Garrison Matthews.
It's a crazy poll.
Wait, it was Ron Harper to
Jamal Crawford.
Garrison Matthews. I'll just say Michael Jordan.
There you go. You got it.
Oh yeah, that's it right there.
Yep.
Oh my god,
So
think too hard.
you used only 26 seconds, and you got 3 links. So that's 106 minus 60. So you got 80
Oh,
points on that one as well.
coming through now.
I was hoping you'd just say like Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson. I'm like, it's just so easy.
Yeah,
But
I keep overthinking. That's my problem.
yeah.
Yeah,
So those last two though, you got a lot more points. I feel like
yeah.
honestly the current player one might have been a little bit harder because it's like there's only so many players you can think of, and like former there's a
Mhm.
lot more options.
Yeah.
But you got 10 points though for the first one for Tatum to Anthony Edwards. You got 8 points for Rozier to Keldon Johnson. You got 22 points for Keegan Murray to Rick Barry. 87 points for Monte Ellis to Steph Curry, and you got 80 points for Ron Harper to Jamal Crawford.
Am I competing against other people?
I've never done this game with anyone yet before.
Okay.
So
Do it with the next guest. I want to see how I compare.
the that brings you to 40, 120. That brings you to 207 points in total.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I could have done better. I feel like if I just,
I mean, if you
yeah,
would have got Derrick Rose at the end of the Keegan
yeah.
Murray
This
Rick Barry.
game, it was confusing to me. I was like midway through the first two. I was like, wait, what am I trying to get to again? Yeah.
But yeah, so
Um,
I mean that was still pretty good though. I mean 207
yeah.
points. I feel like it's like I would say at least like 100 points is kind of like the goal, but
Hmm.
200 you got the links. Getting the last link I feel like is just really hard.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean that's a pretty good score.
I'll take
Yeah,
it.
good work. But yeah, other than that, I mean, again, good showing on the name link game. And I thought it was a good episode. It's our first collab in a while. I thought it was a successful one, and hopefully you guys enjoyed watching at home. Thank you guys for watching. You got any other final thoughts before we wrap this thing up?
No, I think that's about it. I'm glad to be back. Love talking hoops. Yeah, thank you guys for watching.
Yes, sir. And yeah, stay tuned for more. And yeah, again, hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you guys for watching, and we're out. Peace.